Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. I upload every Friday. Today we're gonna learn how to bake, and not bake a cake, but bake our face. I'm gonna teach you the when, why, and how, and the difference between baking and setting. Not just for young girls, but for mature skin too. Check it out. All right, you guys, let's get started. So I get asked all the time, am I too old to bake? Why do I need to bake? Is it an essential step? And how is it really working? So I decided to put out this video and tell you that it doesn't matter how old you are, it's important to bake. Do you have to bake? No. Do you need to bake? No. But is it beneficial to really locking down that foundation and concealer? Absolutely, but there is a difference between baking and setting. So I'm gonna teach you how to do both of them, but I'm gonna tell you setting is crucial. That is an essential step, but baking, not so much. You don't have to bake, you never have to bake, but it will guarantee that that makeup will not budge because this is a technique that's been around for years. Let's be real, this is not something new. This is not something that all these young influencers just created, all these the Kim Kardashians, they did not create this baking technique. It's been around for years and it's really been popular in the drag community and the theatrical community. This was meant for performers. They really needed it to lock in that makeup so it didn't move when the lights and the camera and the sweat and all of that was going on. They wanted to make sure that that foundation, that concealer was not going anywhere. So this has been around for years. I used to actually bake and do some steps like that in the past. I mean, years and years ago when I was a professional dancer, because we had to guarantee that our makeup wasn't gonna move. And we did sweat a lot. We were performers in front of 17,000 people in an arena. And you really can't have at a game for like 4 hours. You can't have your makeup move. So this is not something that's new, but it has just become more popular, I should say that. And it's become very popularized by us social media girls and boys. But this technique is not something that you have to do. And you don't have to be young to do it. I actually think it is more beneficial for us mature skin women because we have more texture, we have more wrinkles and crows and other areas that we just don't want to peep through our foundation and concealer. So this actually is extremely important for mature skin. So if you're thinking, okay, I'm over 40, Christy, I don't really need to learn how to do this, I'm gonna skip this video, I would highly recommend you keep watching because I do truly believe even though baking isn't an essential step, it is a very beneficial step and is really going to make your makeup last and look beautiful throughout the day. I'm telling you guys, it is really gonna make a difference. I am gonna teach you how to do it. I just wanted to kind of give you like a little bit of the history and how it actually works. So what it is you put your foundation on, you put your concealer on, and now you don't want it to move, right? So you can set it, you can go out the door, it's gonna look beautiful for like an hour or two. But eventually, your natural oils, sweat, if you're very oily, that's all gonna just start seeping through that foundation and concealer and it's gonna break up and it's gonna do that. That's the way it is. There's nothing out there on the market that's gonna lock that without baking or setting. So you definitely need to set it. But then you can take it to another level. So say you're going to an event, you're going somewhere special, or if you're just like me that just likes to do it for, even if I'm gonna have my makeup on for an hour, I still like to bake. But if it's just something that's like a special event and you don't wanna bake on a normal day, you can just do it then. But so what it's doing is when you put your foundation on, you put your concealer on, and then you take a generous amount, and you really wanna do it with like a loose powder, any kind of loose powder. I'm gonna go over that in a second, but any loose powder will work. You're gonna take a generous amount, and I'll teach you the tools to use, but you're gonna get that sponge, and you're gonna get it in there, and you're gonna just bake it. And what it does is once you put it over that foundation and concealer, it's literally cooking your face. I know that sounds bad because you're like, oh, I don't want to cook my face, but it really is. It's locking it in. So mixed with your normal body temperature of 98.6 degrees, give or take, is your normal body temperature, it's literally like cooking it. So it's allowing nothing to get through that powder. That's why you have to take a really good amount to really, like, if you're really baking, you got to get a generous amount of loose powder. And then once that cooks in there for like 5 to 10 minutes, then it's just locked in. It's not going anywhere. That makeup becomes bulletproof. Let me tell you, that bad boy isn't going anywhere. So that's why it's important. The thing is though, is if you have very dry skin, you probably don't want to cook it. You probably don't want to cook it to a lengthy degree. So I would say no more than like 3 minutes would I leave that baking powder on. If you have extremely dry skin or any kind of texture, if you have any texture under your, like if you break out right there, I would not bake in that area. I would set it, but I would not bake that area. But if you have pretty smooth skin right there, or I mean, even if it's just wrinkles or something like that, that's fine. But if you have like dry patches or pimples or anything right there, then stay away from baking. But if you have just like wrinkles and stuff, that's when you do want to bake, because you want to make sure that you're covering that up with the foundation. You want to make sure that doesn't move. So it really just depends. I mean, sometimes I get dry under that area, so I can't bake for too long, or some days I just can't bake at all. So it just really depends. But for the most part, I can bake. I mean, I don't have too much of a problem. It just depends also on the product I'm using. So I'll get into all that in a second, but I just really wanted to teach you guys kind of the history behind it and how it works, and then we can get into like how to apply it. All right, you guys, let's get started. So there is a difference between setting and baking, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to teach you the setting method, and then I'm also going to teach you the baking method. And then I'll discuss how there's different levels of baking that you can do depending on your skin type, because that is really, really going to make a difference. All right, you guys, let's start off with setting, because I think that is probably going to be the most common for 50% of my subscribers, or anyone that watches this video, or anyone that subscribes to my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Just thought I'd throw that in there. But anyway, let's move on. So let's talk about setting. So I did already set my makeup because I did my makeup prior to turning on this camera and filming a little bit, so I didn't want my makeup to start creasing. And that's the whole point of this, right, you guys, is to not have our fine lines and our wrinkles. Well, if you're young, you don't have to worry about that. But for us more mature skin women, we want to try to prevent that. So it is really, really, really essential in your makeup routine to either set or bake. And I always bake, so don't let age fool ya, okay? You still can bake. It just depends on how much and how dry your skin is, or how prepped you got your skin. That will make a huge difference. And with there being different levels, you still can bake. You just have to know what degree you should bake at. My mom was 69 when she passed away, and she was still baking at 69. So let me tell you, you still can do it. So don't let age prevent you from doing something that can really be beneficial to your makeup routine. All right, you guys, I don't want to get off subject. I just wanted to point out that it doesn't matter what age you are, whether you set or you bake. But everyone needs to set. Let's just clear that up. All right, so the different setting powders. I mean, there are so many on the market, you guys, and really depending on your level of what you want to spend on makeup is going to depend on what you buy. So don't, just because I'm pointing out products that I like, go, oh my gosh, well, Christy, I don't want to spend $45, $50 on a setting powder. I would prefer to spend $10 on a setting powder. That's fine. And the thing is, you can set with just pressed powders, or you can set with loose powders. And that really, like, a lot of people who have really dry skin, they don't like to use a lot of powder, so they only set with like a loose powder that they're gonna bake with. So again, makeup is so up to you. It's up to what you want to do. And I'm just going to teach you what I like to do, and then you can kind of just decide on what you want. For my skin and for my looks, I prefer to have both. And what I like to do is I like to set my makeup with the pressed powder and sometimes the loose powder first a little bit, because when I use a pressed powder, I like to use a brush. But the thing is, when you use liquid foundation, if your makeup's not completely dried down and you go in with a brush and you just start setting it with a pressed powder, you're gonna be really upset with yourself, because that's when you're going to see a lot of streaks and a lot of movement, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that foundation is completely dried down. And I had mentioned this on previous videos, but the best thing to do is take like a Laura Mercier velour puff or any velour puff. You can, I mean, Beauty Blender has them. They're really good. I think this is $16. I'll show it right there. And then there's Beauty Blender. They have a velour puff, and I'll put it right there too, the price. But these are really, really, both of them are really good. And Amazon has a ton of them you can get for very, very inexpensive. So I'll be sure to include a link for that as well. But I really like going in there and just making sure, like, I am just literally pressing, and I would take like a loose powder like Cover FX. I really like Cover FX because I do have drier skin. If you have oily skin, I would do Laura Mercier. So you just, I mean, it depends on your skin type. I like Laura Mercier, I do. I still use her sometimes, but I have been going more towards like a Cover FX. You just want to make sure it's like a kind of like a translucent, either a no color powder or something very like just neutral, which is really good. This Cover FX is a really good color, and so is the Laura Mercier. It's very similar. What it is any skin tone could use these, especially the Laura Mercier. That's what it was designed for. It doesn't matter if your skin is light, medium, or dark. That Laura Mercier translucent powder is supposed to cater to everybody, and with no flashback, so that's really nice. But I do really like the Cover FX one. I'm not sure on dark skin how that works, but I think there's a little bit darker one. I think it comes in 2 or 3 tones. I'll show it right there. I'm not quite sure, but I really like that one for just like setting the face all over. And so does Hourglass. Hourglass has a really good mineral veil one that really blurs out the pores and is really good for dry skin. It's a lot more pricey though. I think that one's around $50, where Cover FX and Laura Mercier are around $38. So, and they do last a long time. I think they're about 3 ounces of product in there. So it lasts for a good 3 months. So keep that in mind. It may be a little bit of a sticker shock at first, but as time goes by, you'll see that if you really like spread it out over the months, it's not as like, oh, it's so expensive. But there are good ones for drugstore too. Coty Airspun has a really good one. You can get that one at Walmart or Target. And then there's also Maybelline has a really good one, and Wet n Wild I heard has a pretty good one. I haven't tried the drugstore ones yet. I think Makeup Revolution, as far as affordable makeup goes, it's not drugstore, but it's affordable makeup, and they sell that at Ulta. They have a really good loose powder too. So just be extremely careful when it comes to color tone. Don't let the trends of like banana powder. I know, you know, Kim Kardashian looks amazing, and Mario came out with that technique. Well, it's not his technique, obviously, we just discussed that. This comes from years of using it in the drag community and the theatrical community. So this is not a new technique, but he really did make banana powder, especially the Benai, I think it's Benai, yeah. Benai, the banana powder is really, really good to really brighten under the eye, but you have to make sure that you're in that medium to darker range tone, because if a really pale girl used banana, it would not look good. I even have a problem with some of the banana powders out there. I have to mix this one. This is a little too banana-y for me. I don't know if that's a word, but it is. Like, I have to mix it with like a Laura Mercier or something like that. I like to mix it actually with RCMA. Their normal translucent powder. Their no color powder is really good. I actually make a little concoction, you guys. I found these on Amazon, and I'll put it right there, but you can get 3 of them for very, very inexpensive, and you just make them yourself. Let me grab one there's nothing in here, but these are awesome. Almost looks like the Cover FX one, and it comes with like the little sifter, so you can take that out. And what I do is I just pour the RCMA, I pour some of the banana, oh my gosh, that's a tongue twister, the Benai banana powder. Wow, I'll get it out eventually. So I like to mix those 2 and put it in here, and then just put it in there, and then, you know, just kind of mix it together like that, and then it makes this. And what I like about this is it really brightens the under eye. Would I use this all over my face? No, this is just for the under eye. So any kind of banana powder, I really wouldn't recommend setting your whole face with that. I mean, to each their own. If you want to do that and that works for you, do it. There are no rules in makeup. You decide what looks good on your skin tone. You have to remember that. You have to take whatever us beauty gurus tell you, you have to take it with a grain of salt because it's not always gonna work out the same for you. Because what works on my skin tone may not work on your skin tone. So just be mindful of that. But RCMA, that brings me to RCMA. They have excellent translucent powders. They are the OGs of translucent powder. This is the no color powder and this is the translucent powder. Both extremely, extremely good. I really like these. I mean, these are just tried and true. They're very inexpensive. I think with my makeup discount I think it was like $9, but I think they're only like $12 on Amazon. It's very, 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 very inexpensive. So if you're saying, you know, Christy, I don't want to spend $38 on Cover FX, then get RCMA. It's been around forever, and I extremely like their concealers. Their foundation, it's actually foundation, but we use them as concealers. I'm gonna do a video, comment below if you really want to see it, on how to cover up like hyperpigmentation, acne scars, and stuff like that, because if you're trying to cover it up, this is the only way to go. The reason why I like the RCMA versus just using like just regular Shape Tape or some type of other concealer is because this is 50% pigment. Most cosmetics in the industry, in the retail industry, typically have like, I think they say like 20% pigmentation in all their stuff. RCMA is 50% pigmentation, which means there's not a lot of the other, excuse my language, but crap in here. So it's going to be a lot more effective and a lot better to put over like an acne scar or a semi-active pimple still. So you really want to be careful with that, and then setting this because it's very creamy. So I'll teach you how to do that. It's really, really been a huge, huge game changer for me when I'm trying to cover up those hyperpigmentation spots and the scars from like a very terrible pimple that I decided to pick. And yes, don't judge me, I pick them. I know, I'm a pimple popper. So let's go back to setting powder. My favorite setting powders are more on the higher end side. So let's just, don't ridicule me, just pick what you want, but these are my favorite pressed setting powders, and this is the Charlotte Tilbury. You know, I talk about this on every single video, but this is my holy grail. This stuff is like butter. It does not affect my skin. I literally just cannot live without this product. I really can't. I know that's extremely dramatic, but I cannot live without this product. It is so good. It is just like, oh my goodness. I mean, and it takes me like a good 4 months to get, I mean, I'm almost hit pan on that, but oh my goodness. And my mom loved this stuff, and she was so frugal when it came to makeup. She did not like to spend a lot of money on makeup unless I really told her about a product. And she said, sometimes you have to splurge on certain things. And I really, truly believe this is one thing. If you take anything away from this tutorial, I would take Charlotte Tilbury over all of these products. I'm telling you guys, it is so phenomenal. It is amazing to set your makeup with. And you literally could just set your makeup with that and be done. You don't have to worry about the baking process if that's not something that is going to be of interest to you. Another great setting powder that I really like that kind of gets overlooked a lot of the times is the Hourglass. These are the ambient light powders. This is dim light, and this one kind of matches my skin tone more, but I mean, look how beautiful that case is. This takes forever. I've had this for almost a year, and I don't use it a lot, but if you really want like that kind of just like subtle glow, because there is a little bit of a sparkle to it, but it's not glitter or anything like that. It's just gonna really make your face glow. The best part about this is that it actually is supposed to work like a filter, like a everyday filter, like a camera filter, like you do those on Instagram. This is supposed to be like a filter in a powder. So that's pretty amazing. Hourglass is a very, very, very clean product line. It's expensive, but it's very clean and it is very good. I've talked about their primer. That primer is one of my ultimate favorite primers. And I just started using, I'm actually using it today, is the foundation stick. So I'm really excited. I think I got a little bit too dark of a color. I had to mix it with another product, but I really love Hourglass. I just think their products are so good. But those are really good setting powders. You don't have to use like those translucent type powders. Say you don't want to bake and you just really, your foundation doesn't give you a lot of coverage, but you just want a little bit more pigmentation. You can set with like a regular powder. And the two I really like to do that look with, say I'm using like a real lightweight foundation and I still want a little bit more coverage and I'm gonna set that foundation, I would typically go to either MAC Fix Plus or I would go to the JCat Aquasurance. I've talked about both products on my channel before. Aquasurance is oh my goodness. I can use this just on its own, just primer, moisturizer, and go out the door. Most of the time, if I'm just going somewhere quick, I really, really like to use this Aquasurance. This is natural. There's not a lot of color, so that's the only downfall to this, but it's only $13.99, you guys. $13.99 for this product, and it's one of my favorite powder foundation. And I like Jane Iredale, but I just don't really love it. I know it's better for my skin because it's mineral makeup, but this is really good because it's kind of moisturizing to the skin. It doesn't like set into those dry patches or anything. This is a phenomenal foundation powder. Say you just don't want to wear any liquid foundation, I would highly recommend this one. As you can tell, I'm almost hit pan on this, and I carry this in my purse. I don't really typically have to because I set and bake. I don't have to touch up during the day. I never do. And MAC Fix Plus is the best way to really set those blemish areas or those hyperpigmentation areas. This is my only go-to when I'm setting that, because once you put the concealer down, you have to set that or it's gonna move around and your spot is gonna peek through. So this is the only one I will use to set that. So I won't use like a Cover FX or any kind of light powder, because if you use a lighter powder and you don't use one to match your skin, oh my goodness, it's gonna just make your pimple stand out more or your hyperpigmentation spot. It's just gonna accentuate it, because you have to remember these baking powders are actually highlighting you too. So don't use them on spots on your face, because if you use any of these loose setting powders that are meant to go under your eye area and some of your T-zone areas where the light is supposed to hit you, you're gonna hate your life, because that's gonna make that pimple go doo-doo, 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 and you do not want that. I've done it before on accident and I'm like, and I notice it in pictures. It's a hot mess. It's a beautiful hot mess, let me tell you that. So those are the pressed setting powders I would use. So that's the difference between, you wouldn't bake with those powders, but you would set with those powders. I mean, you could, technically you could, but you really, in order to bake, you have to have a very generous amount. So that is really important. Oh, I almost forgot. So the Kat Von D, I've talked about this a million times on my channel, is that middle shade right there. It's called Lyric. It's almost gone. Okay, this one's missing because I put this one and another one in a different palette, but this Lyric shade, oh my goodness, you guys. Oh, okay, so this is like my banana powder. That's kind of like what I would consider my banana powder, because it really does kind of work that way for me. It really brightens up my under eye. I actually already did that after I put my concealer on. I set with that. So that is my first before I even go in and bake. And the best way to use those pressed setting powders are with like a brush. So I would use like an IT Cosmetics brush, something fluffy, something just really, and making sure that if your foundation's still a little damp, to just press and not to like, you just don't want to, you definitely want to like press it in there. I mean, you can still do that even if it's not wet. I mean, it's just good that you're just not, it just assures that nothing is going to move that way. So I would set with that, or again, using the velour puff and just like really working it into the skin. And when you do the puff, make sure you're pressing it like that, just like that. So you just want to make sure everything is pressed in. Okay, so now it's all done. All right, so we did our contour, did our nose contour, we did our cheek contour. Now let's talk about baking. And baking is where the loose powders come in. So you've got your RCMA, like I mentioned, and this is translucent, no color, depends on what you want. Then you've got the banana powder, but again, be very, very careful. So if you are like you know, on the lighter side like me, or even lighter or light medium, you really, because I'm borderline, I'm not really medium. I'm pretty pale when I don't have like my self tanner, which, whew, that was a whole nother story. But I am pretty pale, so I really have to be careful with banana powders. So just be careful with that. If you're gonna do that, I'd mix it. I'm telling you guys, you'll thank me later. And then there's other colors that have come out into the market, because all of these companies, since RCMA came out, all of these, I think Laura Mercier was kind of like one of the, became like the new staple of baking. And then there's now like Fenty, Huda, Hourglass, Cover FX. Now every single company has a setting powder. Drugstores, everyone has one. But there are different color tones, so Fenty's really good about that. I really like Fenty's as well, but it's like a purplish color. That is a nice brightening powder. Okay, let's do the Laura Mercier, the under eye one, because this is technically what it's for. It's a lot smaller than this one though. This one I think is 38, this one's 28, so you don't get a whole lot in there. But you're not using this all over the face either. And for like someone like me, now if you have very oily skin, you don't have to worry about being, how do I say, light with it. You can just go full force, full ham with it. But because my skin is really dry, especially right now, it's crazy dry, I have to go in very light. So I'm gonna show you more the light technique, but you can go really heavy too. And remember, the more you cook on there, the more it's gonna stay. I mean, right now, I'm just literally gonna take off this makeup and go to bed. But if I was going somewhere, I would definitely bake a little bit more than this. Even I don't even care if it's a little dry, because I would rather have my makeup not move than worry about the dry patch, as long as it's not too bad. I don't like it when it's too bad. But I'm gonna try this out. I haven't really used this under eye one, but I was talking to a pro makeup artist, and she was saying that this is a very, very good one to bake with. So, all right, so we're just gonna, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in there like this. You're just gonna stamp, 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 stamp. And I would suggest doing it with a sponge, or you can do it with like a bullet type brush. This Sigma F35, I have one to highlight with and I have one to set with. So I'll do kind of, I'll show you both techniques. So then you can also use the brush. So say, Christy, I don't really want a full bake, then just use a brush and go light with it. So it looks a little crazy at first. If you're not used to baking, you may go, oh my goodness, there's no way I'm gonna do that. That is a very light bake, okay? That is not a whole lot, actually. I know it looks like a whole light, a whole light. I know it looks like a whole lot, but it's really not a lot. So that is a very actual soft bake right there. I'm gonna go in on the other side and show you a really, really strong bake. Strong bake. I'm wearing the lipstick today that I talked about in that Target haul video I just put out. Oh my goodness, I am so hooked on that lipstick, the Maybelline Color Stay lip crayon. Oh my goodness, this stuff is amazing. I'm wearing the pink one today. I talked about this one in my video, but I'm wearing the pinker one today. Oh, I love it. Okay, let's go a little bit more actually, because I feel like that's not gonna be enough. I know, this is crazy. See how much I'm taking of this? I'm literally, now this Morphe sponge is a little difficult sometimes because it's a little massive. The Beauty Blender ones are a little bit smaller, but that one's not damp. Oh, that's another thing. Make sure your Beauty Blender is damp. You don't want to go into the dry Beauty Blender or makeup sponge, whatever you use, whatever type of sponge you use. This is the Morphe one. You don't want to go in with it dry, but you also don't want to go in with it wet. So if it's sobbing and you squeeze it and there's still water coming out, then not good, because then it's really going to break up your makeup. It's just going to be terrible. You'll have to start all over again. So just make sure it's, I mean, by the time you do your foundation, your concealer, it should be at a perfect dampness. I think, is that a good word? Yeah. It should be perfectly damp. I don't know if I said that right. All right, okay, I did go to college. Yeah, not good when you already did your eye makeup and that happens, right? So that would be a more generous amount. And honestly, I would even probably do more than that. So, I mean, like I said, it's all preference. That's baking under the eye. You really just want to bake where you crease. You want to bake in areas like for me, I have frown lines right there. And then for my forehead, I don't really like to go in and stamp it because I'm not really trying to bake too much there, but I like to just take the setting brush and kind of just really kind of pounce that in there. You can do it right there. And the same thing goes for the lines. Sometimes well, see that sponge now, I'd have to get a different one. So this Beauty Blender one, I guess it's still good. I wouldn't do that under the eye one there though. So I would take like the Cover FX or the regular Laura Mercier translucent powder. And then this one's nice because it has like a little flap so you can kind of make sure you don't overuse it. But you would take it, I always put it on the top of the cap. And then you would take that one and then you can kind of like just pounce it in there like that. So that kind of just helps. That the only thing is I wouldn't leave that one for 5 minutes. So I would just leave that for like a minute or two and then dust it off because I can get kind of dry there. So that's another thing. You just have to be careful. So I'm not gonna leave mine on too long. Let's just say you have really oily skin or you really are okay and you don't have dry skin, you have more normal skin, then leave it on there for the full 10 minutes. But because I don't right now, I have to take it off right away. So I'm actually gonna take it off now. And what I would do, so I like this brush by Morphe, very inexpensive. I think it's like $7. I am full of powder right now. Oh boy. All right, you guys, I'm a mess. So you are gonna take either these two brushes. I really like both of them. This is the Morphe M500 and then this is the Sigma powder sweeper. This is meant to be a actual take off your powder brush. Or you can just use your IT Cosmetics brush that you did your setting powder with and not invest in another brush. But this is like less than $10 and I think this one was like around 15. So they're really not that bad. But if you really have like, if that powder's really in there, you are gonna need a little bit more of a denser brush to really get in there and get the product off, okay? Like this, so. But this one is really nice. I mean, literally that's what it's meant for. Okay, and it's gonna look a little like, oh my goodness, like a casting white spell right now, but once you finish off your makeup, I haven't done my blush, my highlighter, my bronzer yet. I just did my contour. So once everything pulls together, I'm gonna show you how it looks at the end, then you're gonna go, wow, okay? So it's really gonna, the good part about this is as we get older, we really want to like lift ourselves up, right? We really wanna brighten up our skin. That's why I say, I actually think this technique is even more beneficial for us mature skin women because we are the ones with the lines and stuff to hide. So I actually think we get more benefit out of this technique than even the younger generation. But it still looks beautiful on everyone. So that's why I'm saying don't be intimidated by this. Don't skip this video saying, oh, I'm, you know, over 40, I can't do all that stuff. You can, and it's really easy, and it's gonna make your makeup look so much more beautiful, okay? I'm telling you guys, if you have the time to do it, do it. I really love this Morphe one too. This one is so soft, and for less than $10, it's crazy good. Remember, I put all the links on the bottom. See how everything just kind of like, I mean, you see like, you know, okay, so it's a little highlighted there. That's okay. And once I do my bronzing, it's all gonna just blend together. So there's the baking under the eye area. And honestly, if I was a beginner makeup person, that's probably where I would start and just stop there, okay? I would just leave it like that, do the rest of my makeup and be done. But if you're more medium to advanced and you really wanna kick up your makeup game, there's other areas of the face that you can bake. So I'm gonna go into that, just fast forward to get to the end if you're not interested in this part, but this is another great way for mature ladies and women who just really wanna like bring up their face. This is gonna be the next step, the next level to that. So remember, highlight the areas that you want to pop out, okay? So baking is highlighting, okay? It's just a toned down level of highlighting. And then contouring is taking everything in. It's shadowing. It's actually like an old photography technique. So shadowing your areas to like slim them down and make the face look more chiseled and Kim Kardashian-esque. That's what That's the whole concept behind baking and contouring, is just really like lifting everything, sucking everything in, making you look thinner. So whatever age you are, everyone wants to look thinner, right? We all want to look lifted and thinner and chiseled. And the only way to do that is contouring and baking, okay? I promise you that is going to be the best way to make that stand out. It just depends on how you do it, right? And just going very, very, very little. So that was just a little bit of baking, and then this was a little bit heavier of a bake. So just decide on what works for you and what product works for you. And again, you can get some of these very inexpensive translucent powders. You can get the RCMA no color powder and not have to worry about the different colors and pay only, what, $12 for it, and it works. So, and you can use this to set the whole face too. So it's all preference. I do really like this Laura Mercier one though. This one's meant, again, to go under the eye area. So that one is really good. And then obviously I love the Cover FX, and I'm gonna show you where I like to use the Cover FX. And don't be scared like, oh my gosh, I don't wanna use powder because, you know, then it's gonna really like dry me out and make me look cakey, because that's not true. Because you're gonna use a setting spray and it's gonna bring your face back to life, but you're gonna guarantee that you set your makeup by using a powder. So just beware. This is another good, Kat Von D has really good brushes. I really love her brushes. And I like this one, and I like this Kat Von D. This is the number 25, and this one is number 20. So it just depends. This one's gonna give you, I like using this one with that Lyric color I showed you earlier and just like laying it, like patting it. So say I didn't wanna use the Beauty Blender to do that, I would take this brush and that would lay it nice and flat. That I used the Sigma F35, which is really good, but this one's really gonna like give it probably a little bit more pigment, this one. It's a really good brush, and these are always on sale. Always on the clearance side. I think I got this one on sale at Sephora recently. So check it out. This is a good one to just go like this, or even sweep off the powder. So either one, this could be a good setting one or a good sweeper. So this would be like comparable to the It Cosmetic one. So really good brushes though, amazing brushes. I really like her stuff. I like her contour, her highlight, and her brushes. Oh, and her eyeliner is amazing, her liquid liner. Okay, I'm going off topic. Now let's take it to a whole nother level. So I already contoured. Now I'm gonna show you how to make that face look so chiseled. And this is essential for me. I do this even if I'm just going to the grocery store, but I'm a glam girl, you know, that's just how I roll. I take that back, because nowadays I go to the gym and then I go to the grocery store and I have no makeup on, so. But you know what I mean. If I wasn't going to the gym and I was just going out for the day or just hang out and just wear, even if I'm wearing like leggings, my Lulus or something like that, I still chisel, I still contour, I still do all that. That's just my jam though. All right, so this is what you would do. You're gonna go like this. I'm trying to do it so that you guys can see me. And you're going like this. So you already have your contour going, and you're just gonna go like this. That's why I like this Morphe one, because it has that flat edge, but you can also just get the ones at like, Ross has these. I mean, you can just go ask Ulta if you can have a few of them. They're all over, or just take them. But I mean, these little wedges are awesome because it's gonna do the same exact thing. I actually like the wedge ones because they can really get into that nose. That's another step, but we don't have to go into that because I think a majority of people are not gonna go there. So let's do this. So we just do this, and you're just gonna cut just like that. So basically you are literally lifting your face up. You are chiseling your features out, and you're gonna let that bake, okay? And the longer you leave that, the more defined it's gonna look. And you don't have to do it to that degree. I mean, you can do it a little bit softer and just go in with like a brush, okay? Let's do, I mean, you could even just take this Kat Von D one, right? And you can just go like this, like that. And just dust a light faint, and again, that's just gonna be more natural, okay? This is gonna be more like, you're on fleek, okay? This is gonna be like, whoo, girl, I am here, and look at my makeup, okay? That is more like that. This is more natural, okay? Going underneath that contour. I mean, feel where your, kind of like your bone is right there. That's where your contour should be, and then underneath that bone is where you should chisel that out. I can feel it, so I can go like this. And I can feel that. I can feel it going underneath my bone. And then I like to do that. just like that. Oh my gosh, my makeup is so setting into those lines right here now. Ugh, that sucks getting older. All right, so I'm just gonna leave that on. Let's just say you're that kind of girl. You're like me and you like to do the whole nose contour thing. This is another area where I like to bake. Ooh, I got powder on my nose. You'd bake right here. And I'm just gonna go in a little bit because I already kind of did this and I don't want to put too much powder there. But that's where you would do like the nose, and all that does is it really defines out that nose contour that I just did. And then you can go a whole nother step and then go like right here and just go right down the center of your nose like that. I didn't really do it that well, but you can go down the center. That's why these little wedges are good, because you can use that. You can also just take your finger and go like this. And that's another easy way to do it, just right down the center of your nose. So now that if I actually still had the eye on, you would be like, whoa, Christy, that is crazy looking. But this is basically what you look like. You don't want to forget to take it off though, because you don't want to walk out of the house looking this crazy. But I promise you guys, when it all comes together, it looks so beautiful. I love it. Okay, you guys, so let's pretend like time went by. Another great thing to do is to take like your Charlotte Tilbury setting powder and take whatever brush you're going to use to sweep that off. And since it's the bottom, I'm going to use a bigger brush. This one was good for like under the eye, but this one would take forever to get that off. So I'm going to take a more, not dense, but more fluffier brush and a bigger brush. What I like to do is take it into that Charlotte Tilbury, okay? And this is just going to help blend out that powder. So then I'm going to take that and go like this. See how it just swept away? Like that. Just like that. I'm gonna do the same thing on that side. So the thing is though, if you are having any type of dry skin issues, like I'm having a little bit of dry skin issues right now, but it's a little bit better today. But if you have any dry skin issues, you have to be careful about that when you're baking, because the longer that powder sits in there, the more it's gonna kind of cling to those dry patch areas. So just be careful. If you use the baking technique, you have to really make sure you're moisturizing that skin, prepping it, use an exfoliator the night before, do whatever you need to do, but get that skin nice and hydrated. I have been having a lot more dry skin issues than ever before. And I spoke to this lady who did like film, who did hair and makeup for film. I mean, she had a wealth of knowledge, and she recommended this Josie Moran pure argan oil. This is 100% pure argan oil. But this was, I think, $17, and this will last you a long time, but it really did help today. So be very, very, very careful that. Use a really good moisturizer. I do like the Tatcha Dewy one. I'll put the description right there, but this one is really good. You guys know I love the Tatcha Dewy spray. It comes together right now. There's a gift set. Christmas time is perfect because there are so many gift sets available. I'm actually going to do a video on some Christmas gift ideas because there's so many phenomenal gift sets this Christmas. I'm so excited. I'm like, you know, just going to Sephora and Ulta. I literally can stay in there all day. It's terrible. It's a terrible addiction. But anyway, so make sure that you really prep that skin before you do any of this. All right, you guys, I'm just gonna kind of wrap this up and finish up the rest of my makeup off camera, then come back and just kind of give you my final thoughts on baking. So I'll be right back. All right, you guys, so I just bronzed up, put some blush and highlighter on, put a little bit more gloss on, and this is what it looks like at the end. So I'm telling you guys, I know it looks a little crazy when you're first looking at it and a little intimidating, going, I don't know, this just may not be for me. I know there's a lot, I get a lot of questions on what is it? What does it mean to bake? That's why I wanted to do this video, to really show you guys what baking really was, and is it relevant to your makeup routine on a daily basis? No, it's not relevant. Is it essential? No, it's not. But is it beneficial? Yes. So if you really want your makeup to last, say you're going to work all day and you really want that concealer to not break up, then yeah, I probably would put baking in your schedule. But that's it, you guys. If you have any questions, please comment below. If you have any suggestions for other videos, comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Give this video a huge thumbs up. Set your notification bell for future videos, and I'll see you on the next. Thanks, guys. Bye.
You better turn up. You better be there when I shake. Watch me rocking if I can't stop. If I should fall, just go ahead.